Name statements, starting with Mr. Davis. 3 minutes, should be on.
I want to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to speak here tonight. I'm Mike Davis. My brother and I started 3D Welding Supply more than 35 years ago, and it's grown into the largest independently owned welding supply equipment company in Texas. We have 7 stores throughout the state. I've served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 11 years, and I was the chairman for 2 years, and served on other commissions in the city as well as some national organizations. Teamwork is very important to me in any role that we undertake, and many of you know that one of my pastimes is open road racing. And in September, Lee Porterfield and I went to Nevada, and we placed first place in the Nevada Silver State Challenge. That's a 90-mile road race. As with any sport, why I bring that up is racing requires working with your team, as well as with your opponents. At high speeds, we're making life and death decisions right then and there. This is not unlike the decisions that we need to make in our community. What we do today on the stretch of the road in front of us is going to affect us for years to come. As your city councilman, I will keep an eye on the road. I will consider all sides of every issue. I'm not running on a slate. I'm an independent thinker, and I will carefully consider all the safety and security for the future of all the citizens of this city. I believe in term limits, and this should not be a career. I will bring proven business sense to City Hall. That's what we need. We need to attract better than minimum wage jobs in San Marcos. Good jobs make strong families. Families make strong neighborhoods, and neighborhoods make a strong community. I believe in business sense, I believe in common sense, and most of all, I believe in San Marcos. I will not come into the office with a present agenda set by just the loudest supporters. I will listen to all sides and will consider all of the citizens of San Marcos' requests, the families of San Marcos. When I cast a vote, I will represent our city, our community, and our families to the best of my ability. I'm Mike Davis. I'm asking for your vote for place 3. Thank you.
Mr. Tamires.
Good evening. My name is John Tomides, and I want to thank you for hosting this debate. I'm a small business owner in the city of San Marcos and a 22-year resident of this city. I am running to serve on the council because I want to continue making a positive difference in our community, particularly as our city faces unprecedented growth. I believe that protecting and enhancing our quality of life and managing this growth is crucial to creating jobs and career opportunities in San Marcos. My record is clear. I have consistently voted to protect our single-family neighborhoods from apartment complexes that lower residential property values and our quality of life, like Cade's Camp and Sesam's Canyon, the Bowie Tract, and the Retreat. I have a perfect voting record of protecting our river from ill-conceived development that threatens our most unique asset, and I've supported all jobs-based business incentives to keep our graduating seniors in San Marcos and employ our citizens. I have participated as the council representative and worked with my colleagues to ensure long-term supplies of water for generations to come, and work to provide ample supplies of single-family housing at all levels, including our affordable and workforce housing policy that I helped initiate and which passed the council unanimously this year. In fact, in the past 6 months, we have approved or reaffirmed over 5,000 single-family lots to be located within our city limits. I helped provide strict oversight of our annual budget and expenditures, which funded all necessary city services and even included expanded programs for our youth, habitat conservation for our river, and arts programs enhancing the beautification and cultural appeal of our city. Financially, we have increased our city reserves, maintained a low tax rate, lowered our debt ratio, and expanded our property tax base. This makes us less reliant upon sales tax revenues to support city services. This conservative fiscal policy has also earned us one of the highest credit ratings in the state, lowering our city's borrowing costs. I've supported our continued investment in public safety, adding needed manpower to police, fire, and 911 departments, invested in new equipment and extensive training, resulting in a safer community and some of the lowest fire insurance rates in the state. I believe that businesses both large and small, and citizens both affluent and less fortunate, should be given a voice at City Hall and deserve respect for their unique contributions to our community. We must have a local economy that works for everybody and not just those out to make a quick financial score at the expense of our citizens or our environment. I believe that blustering complaints about how bad everything is in our city and how it would be better if we just had someone else in office may sound good on the campaign trail, but is rarely useful on the dais where experience matters and common ground and compromise must be sought. We have one chance to grow. Let's get it right the first time. My name is John Tomides, and I ask for your vote.
Let's go to the lead questions. Mr. Davis, you get first chance here. Citizen surveys over the past several years have indicated an interest in more hiking and biking trails. How would you work to increase access to the city's natural areas?
We have an abundance, sorry.
We have an abundance of parks, hiking, and biking trails right now. What's important is we get businesses and families in San Marcos to utilize those hike and bike trails that we have at this particular point in time. If we don't get some good solid business into San Marcos and raise our standard of living, we're going to have a city of nothing but hike and bike trails and nobody will use them. So basically, let's get some jobs in here, some good paying jobs. By the way, I am not for all job-based businesses moving into San Marcos. I'm in business, been in business 35 years. There are some companies I don't want in San Marcos. They have to benefit the entire community, not just a small segment.
Mr. Tomides?
In the last 10 years since I've been on the council, we have expanded our hiking and biking trails exponentially. The amount of open space and green space that we've acquired, that I've helped to acquire for the citizens, has been amazing. In fact, I think my opponent's home backs right up to some of our city-owned green space. And one of the things that you'll notice is some of the finest homes in our community are starting to want to locate along that city-owned green space. I would continue to work with the San Marcos Greenbelt Alliance, who has done a fabulous job of volunteering and building a tremendous amount of trails to open up that green space. They lead hikes. We get letters constantly from out-of-town visitors. Our hiking and biking trails are a source of economic development and cultural and ecotourism. And studies show that this is, when families are looking for a place to live, this is one of the most important things that they look for.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Davis?
That may be true, but the problem is there's nowhere for these people to come and live. We've got no homes, basically, for sale. Single-family homes at an all-time low. We've had 65 homes on sale, single-family homes from January to June. New Braunfels had 225. Like I said, I love our hiking and biking trails. Todd gets out there and works those trails all the time, but if we don't have anybody to utilize them in any businesses, they're going to be ghost trails.
Next question, Mr. Tomides. What is your concept of responsible growth?
Growth is one of the biggest issues that we're going to face over the next 3 to 5 years. This is where experience matters on council. The issue with responsible growth is how does it improve and protect our quality of life, how well is it managed, and how does it produce sustainable economic results. We can easily go for the lowest common denominator. As my opponent, I would agree with him. Certainly we don't want every business. We wouldn't want to bring in a business that's an incredibly high water user that pollutes our air or our water or lowers our quality of life or property values. So we must be critical in choosing the ones that if we do incentivize them, any types of growth that we bring in must be beneficial to the whole community, and I would support things that that enhance our quality of life and residential property values.
Mr. Davis, would you like to reply?
Can you read the question again?
What is your concept of responsible growth?
My concept of responsible growth is, like I stated earlier, we have to have some adequate single-family homes. We have to have some businesses where those homes can work at. We have to rely on our schools to provide good quality education. The problem is we're not having any growth. We're 28% of our population is in the poverty level. So we've got real issues.
Thank you. Yes.
So the issue about are there no homes for sale? Of course there are. Just drive out to Blanco Vista and you'll see hundreds of them. As I said before, in the last 60 days, our city council worked together to ensure a stable supply of single-family homes, probably for the next 5 to 10 years. The difference is there's an issue called supply and demand. When the demand is up, the supply will be built. So now it's up to the private sector. The city has done their job. We've provided approval and utilities to these developments, and now it's up to the private sector to build these homes.
Next question, Mr. Davis. What action would you take to see the city's regulations restricting the number of unrelated persons that may reside in a single-family residence be enforced? Should these regulations be strengthened?
I believe we have laws in the books right now that regulate in a single-family home. They did, unless they've been changed. Why don't we just utilize the laws we have right now instead of trying to make new ones? We need less government, not more government. We have lots of laws on the books. We need responsible homeowners.
How do you enforce them?
We enforce them through codes, just like we always have. And you know, there's a police department. The city has their own staff that writes tickets. There's any number of ways you can do that.
Mr. Meyer?
Well, I think oftentimes you'll hear the answer, enforce the laws on the books, and that sounds good, but that usually means that someone doesn't truly understand the depth of the problem that occurs. And when it does occur in your neighborhood, it can be pretty unsettling. It doesn't occur in my opponent's neighborhood because they don't allow, it's a deed-restricted neighborhood. So I want to work very closely with our new proposed nuisance abatement program, which allows the owners of these properties that are repeat offenders to answer and be held accountable.
Any rebuttal, Mr. Davis?
Well, referring to the nuisance abatement plan, we're getting the actual homeowners who possibly live out of state and whatnot. I've said this before in many numerous debates. That law is going to be challenged. It's basically unconstitutional, and it will be overthrown. So let's stick with what we have. It's a proven entity and not go off on some far-fetched gander.
Thank you. And the last question, Mr. Tomides. What do you think the citizens of San Marcos see as top priorities for the city?
I think there's a couple things. First off is how we handle and how we manage the growth that's coming at us. You know, there was a time in San Marcos where everyone felt like we had to beg for growth. We're not in that position anymore. Growth is in our future. The question is, how do we handle it? Who do you trust to handle it? Are you concerned about a lot of apartments in the city? Well, I certainly haven't been a rubber stamp for that or other unbridled growth proposals. Obviously, quality of life. Businesses locate where talented people live, and talented people live where there's a high quality of life. It's all connected, and we can't give up on that. And finally, sustainable economic development. We talk about job growth, and that is critical. But we're a city. Obviously, outside of the city, we don't create a whole lot of jobs. All we can do is do our best to encourage companies to locate here, but it has to be in a sustainable way, and we can't give away the farm.
Mr. Davis?
Well, let's talk about growth. It's not the kind of growth that, obviously, that we need. We have 28.3% of our population makes less than $15,000 a year. That's a household income. The median household income for the state of Texas is $51,000 a year. We have a 16.3% poverty rate in San Marcos and a 17.7% youth poverty rate. We have 70% of our kids getting free breakfast meals in the high school and in school lunch programs because we don't have affordable jobs. We're growing, but it's in the apartments that we're growing. As far as Rancho Vista, our Blanco Vista, that just came about in the last year and a half, 2 years at the most. We've had a decade of not growing, and it's coming whether we like it or not. We need to make positive growth.
Rebuttal?
Well, Blanco Vista's been under construction for at least 6 to 7 years. A few years after they started, the worst recession in our country since the Great Depression started. So those of my friends that are in the home building and real estate business know that was a slow time in every city in the country. And I want to take issue with the fact that my opponent says the nuisance abatement is unconstitutional. I'm not sure if he's sought a legal opinion, but I will remind him that there are numerous cities around the state and around the country that have these types of laws in place, so they're perfectly legal.
Thank you very much. And now for audience questions.
Hi there, Will Tapp. Mr. Smites, you said y'all provided areas zoned for single family. What if the private sector doesn't think it's economical to build in these areas you permitted them to build?
Well, thank you for that question, Will. The areas that I referred to earlier in my discussion were what the private sector actually asked for. And I'm referring specifically in the last 60 days to the La Cima development, which I spent 5 months on the development committee for that, negotiating to make sure that that particular development that was served by city water and city sewer was in the city limits, because that developer continued to tell us that there's no way they would be in the city limits. And finally, the other one was Paso Robles, and I worked with my colleagues to, they had lost some time during the recession as well, 3 or 4 years. We needed to extend their program, and you will see $50 million of private sector investment in Paso Robles in fourth quarter 14 and through 2015, and they must go vertical in 2015 with those single-family homes.
Mr. Davis, you want to respond to the question?
Not directed at me.
Next question.
Melissa Derrick. This is for Mike Davis. At a recent CODA debate, you stated that granting variations and changes to the comprehensive master.
Could you get a little closer to the mic so they can hear?
Okay. This is for Mike Davis. At a recent CODA debate, you stated that granting variations and changes to the comprehensive master plan has created problems for San Marcos, and that approving deviations from the comp plan needs to stop. And yet, the public record that I have a copy of right here from 1997 indicates that while you were chair of Planning and Zoning Commission, you proposed and supported Sector 2 land use changes that resulted in the creation of rent-by-the-bedroom development known as the Retreat.
Question fast.
Would you like to respond to that?
We had four different items come. Jack Weatherford's property, been paying property taxes on that thing for 40 years. And it wasn't the Retreat. It was a 3-part platted out piece of property. It was commercial, condos, and single-family homes, and the largest of that being single-family homes. The neighborhood association refused to have any condominiums in there at all, and were against the commercial on the front the front part of that. I was for putting the commercial on the front, the condos in the middle, and the single-family homes, which was roughly 30 acres that was single-family homes. But yeah, I was for that, but it was not the Retreat. That was way after me when I voted against that.
Mr. Tobias?
Well, I think the record shows a little bit different. The proposal was brought up by Dr. Weatherford, who asked for, and the proposal that was promoted by my opponent was to turn single-family, low-density residential to high-density multifamily and commercial. He voted for it, he led the discussions on those issues, and now we have the retreat. You can't do a rezoning without a land use change, and that's what it did. It was a land use change. I think the biggest indicator of how a person's going to vote in the future is how they voted in the past. I have not been a rubber stamp for all apartments. I believe that there is a right place and a wrong place to put them. If you like the retreat, if you like Caves Camp and Sesam's Canyon, I'm not your guy. But if you think that there's a better way to do this in our community and a better way to grow, then I ask you for your vote.
Time for one more question.
Bridget Phillips. This question is for Mike Davis also. The Neighborhood Commission, who's charged with writing the nuisance abatement code, formerly called the Rental Registration Program, assures that city legal approved it. We certainly don't want the city to be sued. So could you share with us what you know about the code that does make it unconstitutional?
It's pretty simple. You can't hold someone responsible if they don't commit the offense. If you have out-of-town or even in-town owners, and you can't be responsible if somebody commits a murder in your house and a rented home, they didn't commit the offense. So it's simple logic, simple common sense. That's why it's unconstitutional. That's just one reason.
Well, I'm not a lawyer and I do not play one at City Council, but I will tell you this, that there are numerous cities around Texas, there are numerous cities around the country. I serve on the National League of Cities University Communities Caucus. I've traveled to these cities. I've seen these cities that have these ordinances. Although ours isn't exactly like anyone else's, it was designed strictly for San Marcos. It took the work of the Neighborhood Commission over a year. It had the Board of Realtors input at every single meeting, and every single request from the Board of Realtors was included in the proposal. So, you know, I take a more positive stance on things. I think that when you recognize you have a problem, you have to work to find a solution to fix it. And is it the worst problem that we have? No, but it is one that's plagued this city for years and years. And I really think that we finally have an opportunity to work through when it comes back to us after the first of the year and make something work for San Marcos.
Thank you. Now we'll have closing statements by the two, starting with Mr. Davis. Okay.
This was the front page of the Austin American Statesman today. In San Marcos.
It's front page of the Austin American Statesman today. In San Marcos, poverty rampant despite the boom. Families struggle as full-time jobs stay elusive and housing costs rise. Really? That's a fact. 27.9% is all we have as home ownership in this city. The statewide rating is 63.9%. It's not getting better. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. We have got to attack this and with a positive approach and not just sit back with rose-colored glasses on. When you have 53, almost 54% of your citizens making less than $30,000 a year, and you have 36.7% making less than $20,000 a year as a household income, but your city council is making more than that on a part-time job, there's something fundamentally wrong. You have got to step back and look at the big picture. It's been a decade that we have to have some change. It's been going on the last, 10, 11 years. We have not had any new business except for Corvac and Rifles coming into town, which is employing maybe the most, 60, 70 jobs. Rifles holds 30. That's not business. We need something more than Five Guys hamburgers and a new McDonald's and a Whataburger. We need real legitimate businesses coming into town to support our homes, our families, and our city. Thank you.
Mr. Tomides.
I thank you all again for your time and your engagement in this election process. I wanted to say that I have a proven and consistent record of defending and enhancing our quality of life. I voted to protect single-family neighborhoods. I've talked to you tonight about voting against Cape's Camp and Sessoms Canyon. And I've defended our sensitive environmental areas as well as our San Marcos River. I've worked effectively for you and with my colleagues to achieve long-term single-family housing solutions within our city limits, ensuring long-term supplies of water, created safer streets for cyclists and pedestrians, and invested in mobility projects to stay ahead of growth. We all know that growth is in our future, and our city is at a crossroads. One road takes us to more undesirable growth and more apartments, the other to thoughtful, managed growth, focusing on our quality of life and sustainable economic growth. That's why this election is so important. I mean, for the record, when my opponent was on the Planning Commission, he did lead the charge for a land use change from low density to high density multifamily on the Weatherford tract. It ended up as the retreat. I think we should be concerned about how he'll vote to change our brand new comprehensive master plan in the future. I'm a small business owner. I have fewer employees than my opponent, as he has pointed out before, but I will say that 98% of all companies in the United States have fewer than 5 employees. Small businesses are the backbone of this country, and San Marcos boasts a strong small business community, and I'm proud to say that as a small business owner, I have a 22-year track record of consistent profitability. To suggest otherwise is just being a politician. We only have one chance to grow, and I believe that I'm the one to help get it right the first time. My name is John Tomides. I'm asking for your vote, and I ask you to please vote early. Thank you.
And we thank both of you. Will the candidates for City Council, place 4, please come and take your seats?